Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Vintage Super League. We are on week 3. We are starting match 5 between Rachel Agnes and Seth Mansfield, and I'm here with the queen of Dredge, Erin Campbell, who is playing 2-card Monty today.
Trying to, at least.
Your luck has not been what we would have hoped for. I've seen sample hands from that deck, and I've been blown out by that deck, so I know what it's capable of.
Yeah, I think you know what you sign up for, though. You know when you're playing a deck like that the pendulum has to swing both ways. That you're going to have those games where you're just hot, and then you're going to have those games where it's like, well, but when you know that's what you're going to expect, it's fine.
As someone who's played Oath of Druids, which has an 8-drop and a 6-drop, and can mulligan into really ugly conjugations of cards, I certainly know what you mean about running hot or running cold.
Yeah, but I always like to say you play Magic to feel something, and so when it works, when it works, it feels good, and that's what you will risk it for that feeling.
I absolutely agree. When you wipe someone's board with Ugin the Spirit Dragon, it feels 10,000 times better than playing Paradoxical Outcome for the 7th time in one game.
Although it's so funny, when I saw that you were playing that, I was like, Painter? Ugin? So I wasn't sure how that was going to go, but
I don't know how it's going to go. It's probably, I bet if we played 15 matches, the audience would think that it was 15 different decks each time, because there are so many one-ofs in each deck.
I do want to ask you, though, because everybody that I've done coverage with tonight has really gushed over your deck, no pun intended. And you are known for kind of these spicy, kind of off the beaten path, cards and decks. And like, what pushes you to do that? Like, what inspires you to do that?
Oh, that's a great question. I like to have fun. I mean, Vintage, like all Magic formats, is competitive, but it's obviously the least cutthroat competitive format. Like, some people, they can play Magic. Like, there are like professional players and things like that where it's really important to win. And then there are formats like EDH, Vintage, where it's a little bit more lax. So Vintage serves a role in my life where it's a form of enjoyment. And I really love bringing out strange things and just, forcing someone who's expecting the most serious match to deal with this. Like, oh, you came to play Vintage? You prepared for Dredge and Paradoxical Outcome? Well, why don't you deal with Dragonstorm? I mean, I really enjoy that.
And so, like, do you just go through Gather? Or are there cards that, like, you see and then you kind of put it in, like, your mental Rolodex and you're like, I'm going to use that one day? Like, how do you know it? Arlen Cord? I mean, Glyph Keeper was another one. Like,
yeah.
You couldn't imagine these.
Every 6 months or so, like on a Sunday, I will go to Gather and I'll have a few ideas. Like, I'll look up human, or I'll look up dragon, or a few keywords. It's not very often, and I'll see a lot of bad cards, and then there'll be like maybe 3 of them. And I'll think of it in terms of Vintage. I'll think, well, if my opponent had this in play and did this and they were trying to do that, maybe. And whenever there's a spoiler for a new set, I kind of make mental notes on this card might be good for something, like that dinosaur. It's the Runic or Rurik Armasaur, and
the Runic Armasaur. I saw you with that.
I like that. You draw a card whenever someone activates a creature's ability or a land's ability that isn't mana. I mean, you draw a lot of cards against Workshop.
You really do, yeah. So how are you feeling about the next matchup? So we're going through Seth. It's Seth and Rachel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I feel like I can empathize more with Rachel's position, because I've played a lot of decks like Bomberman, where they're big blue decks, blue-white decks, and they're running the full ensemble of acceleration. And I'm always like worried about Wasteland. And I'm always worried about Nullrod, even though I know his is just in the sideboard. So I never feel confident when I'm playing against Bug. I always feel like, they're going to play that Dark Confidant and I can't deal with it, and then I'm going to lose. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Seth is favored. It just means, I would say it's close to 50-50.
All right. Well, let's see how it goes. All right.
Okay. So Rachel's hand, it's light on mana,
Hmm.
very heavy on permission. It's you want to say it's almost off to the races as soon as it draws another fetch land. If the
Hmm.
land were a dual land, it would be wow, she mulliganed it. I would have kept Rachel's hand.
Yeah.
Um because it was a fetch land, so it couldn't be wasted.
But she'll take a mentor.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like I think Seth is going to win because he's just going to play Ancestral Recall. And nothing bad is going to happen to it.
I definitely feel like I'm not getting the full vintage experience because I certainly play decks with recall in them, but they don't
Mhm,
run them or they don't hold them in the same weight that I feel like the rest of the format does. Like I've
mhm.
certainly run Face Stitch or Dredge, which has recall, and people are like, normally you see recall and you're like, snap recall. And it's like, well, certain decks don't view it as heavily as others do, which leads to interesting discussions.
You have it in your decks like the icing on the cake. It's not something integral.
Like the
It's just like,
ganache that
oh,
you're really not supposed to eat.
yeah. It's like, and by the way, Ancestral Recall. It's that kind of
Like
thing.
that flower where you're like, that's frosting, right? And it's like, no, that's decoration. You don't eat that.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
you
very
play decks where the game plan is strong enough that Ancestral Recall is ancillary to it.
hmm
It is
Yeah.
just a bonus.
Yeah.
Hmm. So if I were Rachel, what would I?
I don't think that mentor is long for the world.
No,
No.
she doesn't know it, but she could. She might be able to just win the game if she stripped his underground sea.
Yeah.
But there's no tell, and it's back to
Well,
play
she has to
natural.
know that chasing a bug deck with Abrupt Decay, and I think if she sees, I mean, she has to know how mana intensive that cost is, and seeing that,
Hmm.
what he has there, I might, if I were her, I would think, I think she knows to get aggressive with it, or I hope she does. Like I would if I was playing against a bug
Yeah,
deck.
she does.
Because you
Time
see Leovold
Twister
too.
is. Pardon?
Well, Leovold too, again, those really specific
Yeah,
mana costs, the strip mine really shines there.
Lotus is certainly reasonable.
Hmm.
Ooh. And when she watches the replay, she'll be thinking, if only something told me to strip his underground sea. Because she could win if
Yeah.
he didn't have the underground sea, because his double force is only gonna last. Wow, this is nice. Flusterstorm.
Mm.
2 for 1. Do you play the Mentor or do you play the Jace? I think you play the Jace because you can play the Mentor next turn.
Yeah.
Whereas if you use the Lotus to play the Mentor. Oh,
She picked up on it. Okay.
hmm. But Bob is in play now, so
Yeah. She's gonna go with Jace.
yeah.
If you're Seth, are you willing to blow 2 forces over Jace? Like, would you fight that hard for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Jace is gonna bounce for Bob, and then
Hmm.
Seth will have no way. He'll have no reliable way to generate resources
Mm.
with no mana. And Seth is probably wondering whether to pitch Preordain or Misstep. I think Preordain because Bob is going to be like a little Preordain. Rachel's still not out of it though because she can just play Treasure Cruise.
Yeah.
This is a great game because it looked like Seth was overwhelmingly favored.
Yeah, I thought so too. But Rachel seems to have picked up on the lines that we have.
It's an interesting question whether you abrupt decay her monks yet.
Ooh, play the mana denial game.
Yeah, I think I would.
It's tempting. I'm just concerned that it's more food for the cruise, and then she'll just kind of cruise her way out of it.
Mm-hmm. So the Tarmogoyf will be a 3/4 after she plays Treasure Cruise.
I was
'Cause they'll
surprised that he kept in the Goyfs and went against me with me running ley lines. I was surprised to see that. Maybe I
he
should have
might
known.
have just not had anything
That's fair.
worthwhile to take out.
Okay. It's kind of like when I'm on Dredge and people bring keep and Flusterstorms against me, and I'm like, "Did you not have anything? You didn't have anything else." Okay.
I kind of like it now with the
Yeah?
pitch dredge.
Yeah.
It's good to hit Mindbreak traps or unmask
Yeah.
or.
Have you ever got a mind break trap against shops? That feels great. Because they're not expecting it. And you're just like,
Yeah,
mind break trap? And they're like, well.
I have Mindbreak trap things from shops, but I haven't had the experience of having shops Mindbreak trap me. Although very recently when I was testing Rector Flash, I Cabal therapied my opponent and I was like name Walking Ballista or something, and they did have a Mindbreak trap in hand.
Mm.
That happened fairly recently, and I was like, well, that's good to know.
I had a shops player surgical me the other day, and I was like, what? Like, is this modern? What's going on? Or
That's
legacy,
probably
they love them some surgical.
that's got to be great for them because they probably anticipate that you board out the mental missteps against
Yeah.
Workshop. Because I like surgical. It doesn't destroy Dredge the way you really need to deal with all their stuff and the misstep factor. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I would
I guess
probably.
that makes sense considering how it's so overplayed in every other format.
Mm-hmm.
Like when LSV has to write an article telling y'all you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. Like,
Yeah. Oh, this is brutal.
yeah. So Seth is setting up a nice board here.
You can recover from recall in Vintage. It is very hard to recover from recall, snap, recall.
Oh my god, 3 missteps. And abrupt
So,
decay.
Mentor and then Soul Ring, which will probably get misstepped. She knows how to sequence a mentor.
She does. And that's
She's really good at that.
Yeah. We've also seen that even if you get rid of the mentor, sometimes the residual tokens can still just get there.
Absolutely. I was put into the awkward position where I had to go aggro. I had to go aggro with mentor, and I'm a control player first, a combo player second, and dead last. So I just knew that this wasn't going to work out. But I saw my hand. I have to force your thing, and then
There was
let you
one line in
recall.
particular you did. I think it was in the first game where you had scrolled, and I think you grabbed. I thought you were going to grab the flash, and you grabbed a repeal, and we couldn't figure out what you were trying to repeal because it was game 1.
I was going to repeal Leovold, and I don't know how aware everyone was of the fact that when there's a Deathrite Shaman in play, the Deathrite Shaman can exile the Academy Rector. So if I had gotten Flash, I saw him there with an untap Deathrite Shaman, and I knew I was going to either have to repeal Leovold or the Deathrite Shaman if I wanted to do anything with the Academy Rector. So I couldn't just get Flash. That's why I didn't get Flash.
Okay, that makes sense. So Seth now has Dig. Rachel's just sitting on Snap and a Force. Mentor's out.
Now, the nice thing about Rachel's list is she can still be sitting there thinking, I can draw a Time Twister. I can reset all of the disparity we have in terms of hand resources. And I think if she plays Twister, if she draws Twister, I think it makes it a real game.
I think it's interesting going back to what we said earlier about cards having different weights. I know for me, when I'm playing 2-card Monty, I'm hesitant to do a Time Twister against a blue deck because I might give them more counter spells. But I feel like if you're a blue deck able to face another blue deck, you're less concerned about that. Whereas I'm always like, I really don't want a Time Twister here. But blue deck is like, I'm more than happy to do it.
I want to do it turn 1, and then after that, because I think of it as like a 3 casting recall. It's like I played a land, a mana crypt, and a mox. I have 3 more cards than you.
Yeah, or if you're facing a deck that needs their hand to be perfect, like Storm, where you're like, that 7 has to be great, and then you just throw a huge wrench in the plan.
Have you ever done it post Necro?
No.
When they play Necro Potence and they craft the perfect hand, you're like, Time Twister!
Ouch. All right, so Seth got that one, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do you like if you're sideboarding?
Well, if I'm Rachel, I like bringing in Containment Priest to surprise, block Dark Confidants, and let's see. I like that she took out Lavinia. Lavinia is better against a lot of other decks.
Mm-hmm. Seth could bring in the Fatal Push. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else really.
I don't know. I think Fatal Push is actually a little too narrow.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it can't kill the Notion Thief, right? Because he's black. And then the Mentor, you don't really want to go for a Mentor with a 1 casting cost spell because you could trigger one of those battles that.
Yeah. The Flusterstorm is fine.
Yeah, Flusterstorm is.
Yeah. On her side, though, you could bring in Rest in Peace to kind of shrink the lip to the Goyfs if you wanted to, but that also affects her graveyards as well, so she may not want to go there.
I think 1 Rest in Peace is because it's going to be asymmetrical overall. Maybe not like circumstantially based on what you have in your hand, but in terms of the deck construction, a Rest in Peace is going to hurt Bug a lot more than another blue deck because it'll turn off their shamans, it'll turn off their snapcasters. He's not playing Jace Vryn's Prodigy, but that's another thing that gets turned off by it. Certainly the Tarmogoyfs.
Yeah, she could maybe bring in Snuff Out, but a lot of his creatures are black.
Yeah.
Yeah, neither one is really like stellar sideboard cards here.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not as good as the ones they brought in against me. Those were amazing sideboard cards.
We're gonna have a fun match.
Oh yeah. Wow, Death Right, Bob. Seems fine. Rachel's hand feels a little slow.
Did she mulligan, or is it just that the hand is cut off?
Well, she just drew, so she was at 5. I think she mulled. Could be wrong.
Was it 7? Okay, no, it was. She was preordaining. That's why it only showed.
Okay.
Oh, that is such a good hand.
Yeah.
Bob Flusterstorm. Oof. So unless she's gonna have to try to ambush Viper the Dark Confidant, because you can't let the Dark Confidant do his thing, or else. If I were Rachel, I'd be thinking I need to find Brainstorm, or even maybe Mental Misstep, so that I can maybe get some value out of the Ambush Viper Snapcaster Mage. Like Brainstorm would be a really good draw.
Yeah.
Because she could actually get something out of the Snapcaster that she's going to have to throw in to kill the Dark Confidant.
Yeah.
Dark Confidant will just run right away with the game if he's not dispensed with very quickly.
Yeah, so Rachel's deck is really light on win cons. Like she boarded out the Lavinias, right?
Yeah.
And so that leaves her with the Mentor and 1 Jace.
So. And the Notion Thieves.
Okay.
Technically. Maybe Snapcasters. It's kind of like a Matt Murray. Matt Murray is someone, the blue mage that's known for playing like no win conditions.
He really is. Yeah, she does have 2 Notion Thieves. So I mean, she can close out a game slowly, but I'm glad I'm not the only one who recognizes that.
I remember you were streaming and you got paired against Matt Murray, and it was a while ago. I don't know if you knew him or anything, but he played some ridiculous card, and I remember your response. We made a clip of it because it was great. You're like, this card? This is vintage, young man.
I might have said that, yeah.
Like, what are you doing with this card? This is vintage. You need to grow up. It was just amazing.
Oh man, he's great though. Like he is.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
he's kind of in the same vein of like he's always trying new things. I think he was playing Dovin the other day. Didn't he 5-0 at Dovin?
he 5-0'd with Dovin. He
Yeah.
told me I should play Dovin and he'll counteract that.
And
And part of
I
him is
love
like,
that
sure,
Ryan
why not?
Kelly has standards where it's like I'll play a lot of things, but I will not play Dovin Bond.
But I
There
will
is a
not play
bar.
Dovin. Yeah, he's spectacular. He's one of my best friends. He's a really good person too. Like at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Can you
Yeah.
trust someone? They have integrity and kindness and all. Great guy. A lot of people in vintage are really great people. I've met so many incredible people in this format.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, coming from somebody who's sort of new to Seth, I think Seth and I are sort of the newest people to vintage in this league. I've been very impressed with that. And you really do feel like you're playing with adults, dare I say, versus going
Yeah.
to a standard event, you're having to deal with like the uppity grinders. It's just such a
Mm-hmm.
relief.
Oh, you've been a great presence. I mean, you were so much fun.
Oh, thank you.
I liked you from day one when you were like, this is vintage, young man. That was all right. So Rachel is going to bounce Dark Confidant here. She. Mm,
Mm.
that is brave.
It kind of feels like fixing a toaster with a sledgehammer.
How so?
Well, just when you think of things that Jace can bounce, I think of like hollow ones. I think of the Emrakul thing, but it's like that's how okay, like that's how you're dealing with the dark. Okay, it feels aggressive.
Going up to 5 was questionable. It was a very high risk, high reward type of situation. She wanted to. She wanted to untap with a Jace that was higher than 1, because if she bounced Bob, then the shaman could attack Jace.
Yeah.
Boy.
There's Leo.
Unfortunately, I mean, the risks are something like Leo happening or wanting to time walk, just
Yeah.
drawing time walk off the top.
Mm.
But Rachel has dig through time.
Yeah. And that's not technically a draw, if I remember correctly. That's like you get to reveal
Yeah.
7 and choose 2. The wording's
Mm-hmm.
very different.
Correct. So what do you do if you're Rachel? I guess you play dig through time first.
Yeah.
It's so disheartening to take that risky line with Jace and then have your opponent make it not pay off because, well, that helps. If she can plow Leo Vol.
Yeah. Well, you also don't want the death rights to eat all your delve fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's if you let those go unchecked. I just feel like Seth has so much that needs to be answered right now, like right now,
Yeah.
and she's just not ready
I'm
to
sure
do
there's a landstill mage thinking like, this is why you need to people. If you're on Tundra, you need that verse.
it.
I do love Supreme Verdict against Bug specifically.
Yeah.
I love torturing Bug. I mean, it's really such an annoying.
I definitely was worried about Bug for a while. Like I said, when Assassin's Trophy came out, because I thought about all land destruction, and I was like, so they're gonna have Wasteland Strip Mine and trophies. Like I was really worried for the libraries and the bazaars and the workshops, and it just never really took off. And I was like, all right, this is
No,
fine.
it's not that much of an upgrade over Abrupt Decay. It's
Yeah.
more versatile, but it's real that you ability.
Yeah. So Rachel found rest in peace. Makes the death rights awkward. But
I think. Oh, that Leo Vol
yeah.
in Seth's hand. So Rachel. I think maybe she would have been better served by playing Dig Through Time there. she put it on top so that she could
Mm,
presumably cast it on her next turn.
yeah.
Another, I mean, those kind of plays where you forego short-term gratification for a long-term investment. I mean, that's a healthy human trait,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's not paying off for her here.
No.
And it's because of the Dark Confident. The Dark Confident, if you don't get rid of him quickly, you'll just get buried, and
Yeah,
it
like,
looks like
she's
that
walking
is.
and Seth's running at this point.
Hmm. This is my nightmare when I play against Bug. They have that turn one Dark Confident and going crazy, because that's what control mages do when control.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that a creature like that wouldn't be so backbreaking, but when you really look at the decks that people are playing, no one's really running like removal. Like I'm starting to see lightning bolts again, which is kind of
Hmm.
weird, but it's like for the most part, no one really bothers. And so it's hard to believe that a 2/1 would be so powerful, but when you look at just the way the format is, it makes sense.
Yeah, because a lot of people are using Pyro as re.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Even when I was coming into the format, like I came from modern and so do you guys run Dark Blast? And they were like, oh, honey, no. Like, and so I'm just so used to having removal, and it's just not a thing.
What
There's
happened?
rest in peace.
Where did Dig Through Time go?
That's what I think she put it on the brainstorm, so she put it away with the Jace, didn't she? But then
Yeah, I
did
thought
she?
she put it on top.
Ooh,
Because why wouldn't?
did she crack a fetch?
No, maybe she put it two down.
Oh no. If you're Seth, do you care about the rest in peace?
No, not
No.
anymore.
Okay.
At first,
Yeah.
maybe.
If you had Tarmogoyfs, maybe, but
Mm-hmm. Rest in Peace is a card that, in the early mid game, can stop Bug from running away with the game with uh, Treasure Cruise slash Snapcaster Ancestral. Do all this crazy stuff with my Deathrise Shamans. But I think we're past the point of no return.
yeah.
I don't know how it would have turned out if she had just um when she had the
Ooh,
opportunity.
Force of Will off the Bob.
Boy.
Takes that down to 8.
I'm going to declare Seth the winner.
Yeah.
It's premature, I could be like a.
Well, when you're in hardcast Force of Will range, I think you're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, Force, Flusterstorm,
5,
Snapcaster, and
7. It's gonna take for you to 7. All right, go Bob triggers. There's the dig. She has no, yeah. The rest in peace got rid of her graveyard, which means she has no fuel for the dig through time.
yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, congratulations, Seth.
Seth
3-0.
Manfield. Oof.
I had a sense that would happen too.
Yeah. So it's
Mhm.
us now.
It is. This will be a lot of fun. Hmm.
I'm mildly terrified, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
I think I have more to be scared of than you, but
We'll see. We'll see. I just have to remember, I said earlier that I want to see Ugin, and I have a feeling it might come back to bite me, where I'm going to get an Ugin.
I might board. I shouldn't say this, but I might have to board you now because like all of your things are colorless, so I
Right,
can
but
get rid.
Painter then makes them a color.
Yeah, if you have the painter in play, I mean, like I guess I could -4. But
I'm going to regret this. I just know it.
stranger things have happened.
Or they're about to.
Yeah, this is gonna be wild. Good
Yeah,
luck
I'm
to you,
looking
Aaron.
forward.
We've
You
both had some
too.
bad luck. I mean, I had an open no, and I'm playing 17 land, 18, 19 land in the sideboard. It's like so much land.
Well, it should be fun. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Likewise.